I don't want you to know them upcoming new artists. Go to watch out. What watch out? Them stink like my money. By the way, I don't want you to know nice. I only want you to do it for.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here in MWR6 Season 7. We are in playoffs round number 2, and this is going to be a pretty good one. We actually have Michigan State University versus Otterbein University, so a Div 1 team going up against a Div 2 team. So Otterbein punching up a little bit. I'm here with Piercing, and how are we feeling, man?
It's been a bit of a chaotic week, but overall, feeling very, very good. It's good to be back. You know, it's kind of real iffy. I don't know, but hey, we're back into the action, and that's all that matters. So good to see everyone again. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling pretty good. This is going to be a pretty interesting series for a lot of people. Like I mentioned earlier, Otterbein is kind of punching up, but let's have a look at some of the stats, or we'll have a look at some of the stats rather, and we'll kind of maybe see why that is. Because I mean, obviously, as playoffs start, you're going to see that kind of punching up, punching down sort of thing all the time. It's not necessarily too new, but it is interesting to see, and it makes predictions, makes seeing who's going to win a little bit harder to kind of diagnose, a little bit harder to figure out, but. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and look at some of the players for Michigan State University here.
So starting up, we're going to have Sergeant Anxiety, Mr. Epic, Uova, Soul, and Walter with a player average rank of 178 and a record of 225. So, on the surface, track record looking a little bit rough, 3 down, but the teams that they've went up against, heavy hitters. So you can't really pin them down too much. But just wanted to point that out. But they are going to be looking for a win here, nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to knock these guys out. They are still Division 1, so they're looking pretty strong. Not necessarily the player average rank that you want to see from this team, but I digress. We're not going to get too deeply into that just yet. We're going to see how they perform throughout today. That's going to be the most interesting part of it. But nonetheless, Otterbein University up next here, and they've got Mike's. I don't know how to say the rest of that, so I'm just going to refer to you as Mike for the rest of the series, if that's cool with you. We also have Nasty, Polomulu, Soda, and Neb with a record of 5-2, so looking very strong this season, and an average rank of 94. Anything sub 100 is typically pretty good, you would say. At least in my opinion. I would say that they're at least sitting that diamond champ rank. So anyone looking at that sub 100 is pretty solid, and I'm very interested to see how these guys perform, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I would say once you hit around sub 100s where you get into that more stable, deeper into playoffs territory. So it's about what I would expect standing wise. However, we've seen a lot of upsets in the past. Doesn't say everything, especially I've seen this in the past. You have teams with a high player average rank, and it's usually that number is carried hard by, your top 1-2 players. They can't have that much of an impact, especially if they're like in place 1 or 2 or something massive like that. I've seen it happen before. So it really all comes down to what the team distribution is at. When you've got an even spread, that's where you can start to get dangerous. That's where your top teams like Purdue Gold or Akron start to come into play. But if it's, focused on just one player, that's where things can kind of get a bit iffy because it provides a target point. We'll kind of get into that later.
Yeah, and speaking of Purdue Gold and Akron Gold, or Akron Blue even, let's talk about some of the people that MSU Green has kind of gone up against throughout this season because, like you mentioned, going 2-5, it's a little bit rough. We can kind of see why that might be. They've kind of gone 0-2. Oh, looks like I accidentally missed Kettering. I messed up one of the graphics there, but that's a loss. Or that's a win, I'm sorry. The graphic is just red. It's supposed to be green. But they beat Kettering University 2-0. But other than the 2 wins versus Kettering and Ambrose, a lot of 0-2s on the board here. It's looking a little bit rough right now.
And this was something that I was kind of thinking about in the background, looking at this team and their totality. That's the thing where I start to get a little bit nervous, is it's kind of an all or nothing, right? They either 2-0 or they get 0-2, right? With only one exception being the 2-1 win. So that's where I have to naturally wonder, if they lose, are they going to be able to pull it back? That's kind of the big question that rings into my head seeing a stat distribution like that. You don't want a, clear decisive win or just an outright defeat. But this was kind of what I was talking about before. Look at the teams that they've went up against. Iowa State varsity, Columbia College, very well-known strong team. Akron Blue, Kettering, Akron Gold, again, very strong. Purdue Gold. I mean, we're talking some of the top teams around that MSU is getting up against. So yeah, when you have heavy hitters like that you're fighting against, your stats are gonna look a little bit shot because they're hard teams to beat in general. And when you have them back to back, yeah, it's gonna make your stats look disproportionate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see how MSU Green has kind of catered towards this team, especially, they're not in their division, so they haven't played them before. And it will be interesting to see if Otterbein can kind of, like I mentioned previously, punch up against MSU because they have also not played them before. But speaking of Otterbein, let's go ahead and look at the team that they've played, and it's looking a little bit more solid from these guys. 5-2, only losing 2 games, one in the first week, and then one in week number 5 against ISU Red. And yeah, a lot of these are pretty solid wins. You can't really say too much about them. A lot of them have gone to game 3 though, which has been, just kind of goes to show how much Otterbein has kind of fought for it. It looks like, it's hard to tell whether, they've taken it to like 1-1, like won the first one and then lost the second 2 or the last 2, or they've, lost 2 and then tried to come back, whatever the case may be. But game 3s are really something that Otterbein is big on.
Yeah, I do wonder though if we'll actually get to a game 3 in this case. I mean, I do see the possibility. I mean, Otterbein, like you said, I mean, consistently being able to hold out for overtime, which could kind of, even out MSU's much more volatile distribution as far as their match outcomes. So you got two conflicting forces of nature here at play. One team that either takes all or takes nothing, and a team that really can't cleanly take it out. It always comes down to the wire. But I do want to point out the teams that Otterbein has faced themselves. While these teams do have a decent track record, they're not in like the notorious 3 territory. And despite that, it's still leading to overtime. So there's a big margin of mystery for both of these teams who will be able to come out on top. MSU has consistently faced the toughest and have gotten smashed. Meanwhile, you've had Otterbein, who's faced, kind of the upper middle of the road in terms of raw team placement, and they're still just cinching out wins. So there's a lot of uncertainty as far as who really is going to, what the situation's going to be. You're looking at a possibly 2-0, maybe an overtime. I mean, the flow of game to game could really be anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking more into what we'll be seeing in this game in particular, let's go ahead looking at some of the map bans for tonight. We've got a lot of really interesting ones here. Firstly, we'll see Border, Bank, and potentially Lair as our third map of choice, but I want to dig a little bit deeper as to some of these maps that were banned in particular. MSU Green has played 44 times on Chalet, but it was their for 4 times, but 44 rounds played, sorry. But it was their very first map banned. It's a little interesting to me that they banned their most played map. Honestly, I don't really understand it. We'll get a little bit more into map statistic for the 3 maps that we're going to be playing today, but this is going to be a very interesting showcase of maps today. We also don't see a whole lot of Bank in MWR6, so that's also especially interesting coming out from Otterbein.
Well, do remember that we are talking the playoffs here, so these teams are going to kind of have to pull out their stops. We're starting to get into that territory where really the top dogs start to show up, and the teams that have kind of scraped by are going to start getting phased out rapidly. You want to pull out the stops if you don't think you're going to be able to push much further, or if you're just trying to hold yourself on. So that's where you don't want those 50-50s like Chalet or Clubhouse. You're basically putting your fate into a coin flip unless you can guarantee you're going to stomp out the other team. And unless you're just gunner psychos like CC or Akron Gold. That's not happening. That's not really a gimme that's afforded to you. But one thing that I do want to point out, I don't have the numbers memorized, but I do remember for a fact that when it comes to these three maps, as far as their playtime representation within the scope of Midwest R6, Otterbein does have a definitive advantage for these three maps. Between Border, Bank, and Lair, I believe it was Otterbein has played this, I think it was 9 times, and then MSU has played it 6. So we're talking about 33% more exposure within the league itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, scrims tell a big portion of the story too, but when you actually are testing it to the metal in actual matches, that's where you have a better refinement that you can pull out through scrims. You have more actual direct gameplay data to work off of. So there's that little bit of advantage onto Otterbein, but still relatively indecisive. That's just a little thing that kind of gives a shift in Otterbein's favor, but I wouldn't say enough to give a clean 2-0. I'm still skeptical there.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at some of the statistics like you mentioned, we'll see what we have in store for us on these three maps in particular, and all of these statistics point to Otterbein. It's looking a little bit scary. Interestingly enough, MSU picked Border, but they've only played it 1 time, and a total of 7 rounds, in which all of those rounds they lost. So not a very interesting pick. I love Border personally, and I don't think that a lot of people hate Border, to be quite honest. I think it's a very good map, and so I don't think that MSU is going to have any too many issues getting into this map or having a good time on this map. But against a team that's maybe played it 2 or 3 times, they've got a little bit more strats coming in. I think they're going to have a little bit more of an issue. But as far as the bank pick, yeah, maybe a little bit more like an off pick from OU, but they've got a lot of game time in this map in particular. They've got 44 rounds on this map. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, across the board, this is kind of what I was hinting at before, but you're just seeing higher win percentages, higher rounds played, more map time in general across different teams. All in all, this is telling the story of a team that's on the surface more experienced. Now, interestingly enough, I have heard that MSU and Otterbein have actually scrimmed each other quite a lot in the past. So there is that particular shakeup, as well as both of these teams are aware of each other's shenanigans and what they possibly might present. Now, there's also a little bit of maybe possible concealment of some of their intentions as far as strats go, but this is not pro league, folks. That's probably a level of psychology that is not happening, but it could be a possible element now that we are seeing for ourselves front and center that these teams that have scrimmed each other a lot are going off against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be very interesting to see what these two teams have in store for us today. I'd love to start at 7 o'clock, but that's just never ends up how it happens. We always have people coming in late, and always people coming in early. So we're always waiting for people to get into the game. But we should be getting this game underway very soon here. And I don't honestly know if I have any crazy predictions for this game, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be kind of a toss-up. I mean, like you mentioned, MSU has played a lot of hard teams. They've played Akron Gold, Purdue Gold, Akron Blue. I mean, Kettering University, which they ended up winning, actually. But some very hard teams. Otterbein, like you mentioned as well, they've played some also good teams. Lindenwood, they played some middle of the road kind of teams, like you had mentioned earlier. And so they've kind of just been that middle threshold between a triple threat team or middle of the road, still pretty good team. So it's been tough to kind of figure out who's going to win this game.
Yeah, this is going to be the time to clear that out and know the answers for sure, as it does look like we are starting now. So we're going to be getting off to our game 1. Let's see how this turns out and who comes on top.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I will say this, though. I do predict one thing. If MSU takes map 1, I think this goes to overtime. However, if Otterbein takes MSU's map, and based off of just general map dynamics within Midwest R6, Otterbein has a huge advantage here, so they could absolutely flip this. If that scenario comes to light, I don't think this goes to overtime. I think it's a 2-0, or 0-2 in that case. But looking at the bans, we're going to be starting off with Ace and Azami. You can call me out at the end, but that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, Ace and Azami, pretty standard picks so far. Maybe not so much Azami, but not out of the realm of possibilities or normality. Castle and Montaigne also being the two second bans coming in here. Pretty standard as well. I personally love playing Castle on borders especially. So kind of sad to see that fall, but nonetheless, we're going to be getting into this first game here and going to be opting for some very huge denial. We got the Wamai, we have the Fenrir, we have the Echo, as well as the Aruni. So going to be a lot of denial going in for MS Green.
I cannot testify to how common the castle ban is for border, but I will say though, starting on attack, that is a wonderful choice. And here's why. Armory lockers, or corner hall, one of the most notorious positions to try to take, whether from hallway or CCTV break room. It doesn't matter. That's 90 is always a big contention point, especially when you've got castles lined up all over the place for easy getaways, dangerous funnels. It creates a massive time investment in CCTV, and that's kind of one of those core tenets if you want to go for an armory take. Otherwise, you're just asking to get slammed, whether it's funneled in the hall to try to get that wall open, or whether it's on rappel. It doesn't matter. Those windows present a constant threat. Someone can just run in 90, wreck your day. So this makes that take in CCTV and the standard armory a lot easier. But it also likely means archives may be a bit neglected from Otterbein, unless a little bit of psychology in play to try to convince them that's the angle when they're going to go from the back end.
Some fantastic drones coming up from OU so far, but it's going to be especially hard getting onto the initial part of the map just because when you're playing on a map like this, you really just want to keep that lateral space, and then over time just slowly give it up as the attackers start to push on. And with the Fenrir holding inside here, it's going to be pretty interesting to see. Anxiety picking up the first pick through the staircase. Nasty's going to be able to fall, or he's going to fall, and that's going to be a little bit tougher because, you know, when you have teams like this who have a lot of denial, especially the smoke, Mr. Epic getting a nice kill as well. Now just a 3v5 for Otterbein. But like I mentioned, when you have people like the Smoke and the Aruni and the Wamai, you're going to be able to just hold on to sites and space for a lot longer than normal. So MSU Green looking pretty solid here so far.
Yeah, this is a very, very rough start.
Oh, what?
Oh my gosh. Wow, what a run out from Sergeant Anxiety for the 3K. We're talking barely any building entry on the stairway and a dang near entire team wipeout. Except for Mike, the last one alive. Not the start that you want to see going right into this.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, entry is kind of a big struggle for any team. I mean, this is kind of the big choke point for Border. Such a small map, just getting in the building is so hard because no matter where you come from, the enemy team's going to know. This is where I say Nook can actually be really strong here because of the fact that she can sneak in, open a bunch of windows and stuff like that. It gives you a little bit of a chance to build immediate space, which does a lot more than what you would expect. But in any case, Otterbein is not getting that opportunity. I mean, you see here, still getting shunt out from East Stairs. Cannot even get a walk-in. You've got two lined up onto this stairs funnel. Can't even get a pick with 40 seconds on the clock. So, as MSU takes that clean and easy.
Yeah, easy, flawless round for MSU Green there. And sorry about that stream, I just fixed the game audio, so you should have that now. It was coming through my ears, but evidently not yours, but it should be good now. But on to the next round, we have, I mean, MSU Green, probably not going to change too much. They still have a lot of their same similar setups. Legion's going to be a little bit new, as well as the Malusi, but Otterbein, they didn't really make any impact on that team. I'm going to be quite honest with you. It did not look good for them. So still looking to try to maybe even have some presence going into round number 2 here. And it should be interesting. One thing I want to point out is I got some insider statistics as well, is that Mike may either be a baiter or the win condition. We'll look at some of the stats for him in particular later, but he has 126 deaths for his team and has lost 120 rounds, which can only mean that he has only died in 4% of his team's rounds won, which is just interesting to think about.
Yeah, and when I talk about stuff like that and kind of jump on those topics, I usually refer to something that's called impactfulness. And what that means is when your team wins, were you alive when all the setup, execution is going down, or if your team loses, were you dead before things really became the most impactful, around the 130 mark? Were you dead before that? And what I have found is consistently, if you've got a teammate, the answer is yes. Oh my lord! Okay! I'm just gonna shut up and let MSU Green do what they do best. Oh, what a nasty shot! But back to the point, just to wrap it up. Yeah, I would say that number screams that Mike is extremely impactful, almost to the point of being a target. Not down yet. We're at 2 minutes and 10 seconds, but wow, what a disgusting shot. I'm flabbergasted. That took the wind out of me.
Loading new mag.
Yeah, MSU Green still holding pretty strong. Otterbein making their way slowly onto site. They're going to go for some picks here. Mike going to be picking up the first kill on Walter there, and that's going to be the smoke cleared, actually. So they've got a lot more space to work with now, as well as another pick coming out from Soda, and he hasn't even made it onto site yet, or into the building yet. So now they've got a lot of room into this balcony entrance here. And now with 1:30 left to go, they should have a little bit more room to breathe.
Oh, absolutely. Just by having anyone in the building is a big deal. But a little bit of a pushback, as Soul will be able to take one. That's Mike. That's at the 1:30 mark. This is where things get scary. Like I said, with highly impactful players, that's the risk that you have to watch out for, is someone going out like that. So we'll see if the remaining players of Otterbein will be able to carry this out. I start to sweat a little bit when I see the most impactful player, based off of that very ratio that you described, going down, because chances are it's going to be a loss, and it's right at that 130, right before the setup and right before the execution. And the clock is ticking, and Otterbein clearly feels a little bit intimidated. I mean, look how far back they're playing towards east stairs and balcony. We're not seeing major movement forward.
Yeah, and you know, like I mentioned earlier, you really have to be careful of this lateral movement. We see even now Sergeant Anxiety along with Mr. Epic still trying to fight for this top floor here. With 30 seconds left in the round, it's a 3v3, and now OU is just trying to make their way down. But now we have this lateral space where they're trying to fight for it. Mr. Epic getting that pick, and now we see the lateral movement come again. Mr. Epic getting that second piece as the bomb tries to go down. Soda trying to fight on, hold on to this space, but he's knocked down, and that's going to be another round for MSU Green here. And they look dominating so far.
Yeah, when you have a player above and one in an open space like that, post-plant, it kind of does make a tough scenario to kind of stand your ground, especially when you're going for the safe plant. You know, the Teller's Hop shelf plant, it's a safe plant, but post-plant, it's extremely difficult to hold without having full control of vertical. Otherwise, you gotta worry about your backside, you gotta worry about workshop, walking down from metal stairs. There's so many angles you have to stress about behind your back before you can even cover such a vast space such as lobby. And clearly he wasn't able to even get a chance to do that because of how close they were on the tail in the post plant. So yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot you can do in that situation. I mean, make the best out of a bad situation, but unfortunately Soda really didn't have a chance there. The timing just wasn't right. And once again, the stat proves true. When Mike goes down before the most impactful points in the round, Otterbein ain't looking too hot. At least superficially. We'll see if that really lines up, because Otterbein is facing a much tougher team, MSU Green. So we'll see how consistent that really holds up. We could potentially see a shakeup.
Otterbein looking to switch things up maybe just a little bit. We see the Glaz, the Sens, and the Capital maybe trying to go for a lot more of a smoke play on that balcony side. Maybe go for a fast plant. We saw that the shield Montaigne was banned out early, so no point in trying to bring the blitz or the fuse. We're gonna go ahead and maybe try for some more repelling. Try to go for the window side near Armory, and it should be interesting to see what Otterbein has cooked up here. MSU Green not really switching things too much here. They have a Valkyrie, but other than that, looking pretty similar to last time.
One thing I will say that kind of draws already just a little bit of worry, you already heard Capital's para go off, which means that Otterbein can expect some kind of smoke or obscurity, and that's an instant trigger to be alarmed. by the window. So I think they're going to be kind of a little bit prepared for the kind of smoking and all the obscuring that we can come to expect. I mean, we already have Sense lined up, primed in position, but ADS is still now back up and operational to try to block out that utility. Right now, Otterbein is still kind of sitting, looking to make that walkway into Armory, but there's a big amount of hesitation. You got a little bit of a variable uncertainty. That's going to be Mr. Epic down by 90 Hall off his side, who can potentially disrupt. But I think the signals are there of what Otterbein is doing and what their intentions are, and it's been slow enough that MSU Green can fully adapt to that up to this point. But this dive into break room could provide a little bit of a shakeup that can provide the needed displacement. Though, does get spotted. One goes down. Not looking too hot on that adaption. Mr. Epic taking a second.
Wait.
That's double kill. Minute and
What?
18 seconds remaining, and it looks like this Armory is falling apart at the seams.
Was that the second wallbang for Mr. Epic there? He gets a third! Oh my god, before
Whoa.
finally being taken down by Nasty in a 4v2 situation. Otterbein on their back feet once again, and it's only the Glaz and the Capitao to stand. A minute left to go. But you gotta figure something out. They're both kind of stuck in this 90 hallway here. Not a lot of room to breathe. And we can even see Valkyrie kind of flanking a little bit through West Main, going into server here. But it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen here. How can OU corral themselves to figure out how to get onto site? They've yet to get into this site room once.
Well, other than Tellers, yeah, I mean, they haven't touched this specific site whatsoever. But their way that they're handling, I think, overall map control, they're just not really... They're not gaining territory, right? They're kind of dancing around where they need to be, and there's kind of a hesitancy, right? And I see this a lot in
15
teams.
seconds left.
You know, no one wants to kind of take the dive, take the loss
10 seconds
in order
left.
to establish the space they need, and that it's kind of like an executive dysfunction. One going down, 3 seconds left, and you see one trying to make the run for it. That's going to be nasty, but it's not happening. Can't even get past bathroom. But that's kind of the point that I'm making there, is there's kind of this executive dysfunction in going for executes that I think is really holding Otterbein back. You see them getting ready to take these spaces, but they never actually go for it. They try to flank, they try to reroute, and they're too slow on that reroute to create a displacement. MSU adapts, they slap hard with Mr. Epic and Sergeant Anxiety, and that's the end of that. But we got the next round of bans, and it's going to be Thermite and Fenrir.
It looks
So,
like Otterbein
I
going to
really-
take their time out as well. That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting, to be quite honest. And I mean, kind of like you mentioned, Sergeant Anxiety and Mr. Epic are pretty much the only two people that are really a threat so far. And on defense and border, you just have so much area to be able to rotate out, maneuver around with your teammates, especially when you have people like a Valkyrie on the site. It makes it super hard to be able to actually get in. And like I mentioned, that lateral movement for defense makes it so easy to be able to hold on to space for much longer. And so I think that this is, with that all being said, I think this is a pretty defensive map, and I'm not going to cut Otterbein out too early here.
Right. And I mean, especially because it's kind of hard to get even a round in the first rotation. I mean, first floor, especially by workshops, kind of the most doable. So there's a slight worry there, but they've got a second rotation to try to turn this around. We do often see a 4-2 on border, usually closer to kind of a 3-3. So there's still plenty of time to turn it around. Once it hits the 5-1 territory, that's where I say it's not looking good. So yeah,
Attackers
you're
need
definitely right
locate
to
and defuse bombs.
not count Otterbein out at all. I wouldn't dare to do so either. Though I do have a question for you. What do you think of the Fenrir ban, and do you think that's going to be impactful? I really don't think that makes too much of a difference. I don't think utility is what's really getting them choked up. I'd say far more it's just their executive function in initiating.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Mr. Epic play the Fenrir, and he was fantastic, but he wasn't fantastic with his use, to be quite honest. I mean, he was just good with his gun. He was running out, he was hiding in crazy places, he was getting wall bangs. It was insane. And we kind of see a little bit of a, I say that, but now they're kind of switching back down to the Flores and Capitao once again, maybe the gridlock, but they were running like a Blitz and a Dokevi. I was going to say that Otterbein was maybe switching things up just a little bit, maybe going for a faster take, and that kind of comes with the thought that they're taking a lot of time trying to get onto site, and they're just slowly being picked off one by one, instead of trying to get that refrag, trying to get that trade every time. And so we might see a similar scenario. Hopefully they can try not to rewrite history here.
Yeah. I do really like, though, that MSU Green is still keeping up to her aggression, whether it's by break room, East Stairs, CCTV. I like how they're not giving that up because they know that's been their ticket at this point. It's been, overall, if they can just hold their ground, they're not going to get contested because generally those key positions are not getting lost or broken. So MSU Green, as long as they don't overextend into weak positions like what we saw with that elimination towards the bottom of East Stairs, as long as they don't overplay their hand, they're honestly in really good company with each other. And as we see, we're talking a minute into the round and still no building presence from Otterbein. And what?
One tap. One tap.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, my.
Another one tap. MSU Green got some gunners. Hello.
A lot of presence so far. Anxiety holding onto this balcony here, trying to keep them out of the staircase, out of both entrances there. Walter there gets a shot onto Soda, and now another 5v3. Otterbein once again on their back feet.
Yeah, with a minute and 35 seconds, it's not looking good. I mean, you still got Mike who could possibly try to get some licks in, but until someone gets in the building, I mean, I can't really say too much as far as what any of this means at this point. This has kind of been where they've been struggling significantly. They do at least have eyes on Walter over in office side. They still have that CCTV and break area control that's fully within MSU Green's control. That position was never lost to them. They can still play around that. I mean, you see a big opening for Grim to get flanked here, and that could be devastating. Trying to get that pick onto Walter, just holding it out for too long. Nice!
Oh, yay!
Back onto 90, but Balcony shuts it down. That's the trade. Another goes down. That's the Sergeant Anxiety. Now, Mike, the last one, still outside. They were able to get in the building, but not much more than that. Very clean pre-fire coming in from the East Stairs. Now going to be down to a 1v3. Flash is going out. Now going for that office walk-in. If they can get this isolated pick, there is a very real possibility for a turnaround. But
wow.
MSU Green is just too fast on that denial.
Yeah,
keeping
really,
that space to themselves.
Really good smoke coming out from MSU Green there. And then, you know, Sergeant Anxiety coming out with that, holding the window there. And, you know, we talked about that maybe Mike's a win condition. I would argue that in that position, Mike, maybe a little bit more of a baiter in that position, you know, 1v4 situation, you're not really on the site anymore, not in the building, I should say, rather. And Polomalu did a fantastic job, you know, like you mentioned, he was pretty exposed to a lot of positions, but he was actually the first person that I saw that actually made the most progression onto the site there, and so that was good on him. I just think that he needed a little bit more presence. You know, if you had that same presence while you were pushing the window in East Hallway, I think you had a lot more success there.
100%. Just a little bit more backup, a little bit of reinforcement. I think they could have gone there, but there was so much hesitancy around East Stairs. They were having a really hard taking that space, and that's kind of where that lack of backup came in. 'Cause even one person on East Stairs, that balcony swing comes in, boom, that's another. You're looking at, instead of a 1-1 there when you're already down, you're looking at a 2-1. Now it's suddenly looking a lot better. You've got break room, CCTV, you've got the hall, you got something tangible to work with. But that little bit of support that could have made a difference for Polomaku, it just wasn't there. And yeah, the fate was kind of sealed again. A lack of tangible power position and room control. I mean, when you really look at the broader scope of how space is being exchanged, I mean, you're seeing barely any orange for, you know, Otterbein.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! MSU, you can't keep doing this to them! This is nasty! This is so disrespectful! They do got a shield this time. Otterbein, that's going to be Soda playing Blitz, looking to at least try to get a secured walk-in into East Stairs. Babe goes out. That's 1 out of 3 to try to slow things down. You've also got Sergeant Anxiety, who's going to be on that pulse. That could be really punishing to Blitz if in the wrong position at the wrong time, especially already at half HP. That means we're talking very easily downable right now. But it's still no push, and there's the nitro from below. That's what I was talking about. It finally came through, just in the wrong place, the wrong time. Another goes down. That's Uova taking out Polomaku. And now it's down to a 5v2 within 1 minute, 40 seconds remaining. Mike, star player down. It's not looking too hot. This was that scenario where I was calling danger zone. Another down. That's nasty. That 5-1, not only in player count, but also inevitably in the scorecard. Unless we see a miracle here. Not looking off to a good start. That's major damage, but Neb does manage to take it Mr. Epic. It's one player, but either way, unless MSU Green really just drops the ball here on a choke point like that, this should be their round.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gotta mention that Mike wasn't even trying to peek him. He was trying to just use his utility and cut off the doorway, but still got one tapped by Walter there. That was super sad to see. A very unfortunate turn of events for him there. But Neb kind of just holding on to this here. I wouldn't really try to fight anything, to be quite honest with you. I would just use this as maybe your secondary timeout. We've heard that quite a few times so far. But trying to get a little bit of a sneaky headshot there. Trying to, maybe boost the KD a little bit. But yeah, this is not looking too great for OU so far. They need to definitely turn the tides just a little bit to get this in their favor. When you see people like Pulse come onto the board, you know that they're feeling very ego. Their ego is super high up, and they're wanting to swing just about anything they can. And, you're rocking the shields now, but they've got the nitros to be able to supplement themselves and hold on to a little bit longer. So it's very interesting to see. And Yova getting that last kill on Neb, making this a 5-0 game for MSU Green.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
I need to reload! Reload! It'll sting a lot. Loading new mag! The walls have reinforced! Reloading! Cover me!
Yeah, once again another round. MSU's Green trying to figure out what they need to do here, but gonna be interesting to see
My mag is
10 seconds
how
to
they
go.
kind of turn the tides. Ying gonna be coming out onto the board alongside the Blitz,
5 seconds to go.
hoping to try to make things a little bit better for themselves. Once again, like you mentioned, a 5-0 is not really what you want to see. Definitely don't want to go 6-0. Being on the back foot the rest of the series for this game 1 would be detrimental, to be quite honest. You don't want to have that happen to you. So
Right. I will say this is one of those maps where you really can't afford to lose a round or lose all of your rounds. You need to pick up at least one. Border, it's kind of expected you get al de veras menos at the very least 1 to 2 rounds. 0 for MSU Green would be devastating. And it does look like they're going to kind of go for a fast take on the B site, which I do kind of like that, because Otterbein has not really faced any pressure as far as actual takes onto site, but Felix come in. That spotting is going to be big. Now MSU Green knows exactly what is coming up, and you already see Sergeant Anxiety coming in for that rotate, and you've got this tag and the scan coming in, utility popping out, and already looking to try to disrupt that plant, and it'll be Walter to be the one to get the job done. That's a big setback. Otterbein wanted to make a little push, make themselves known, but now that one last opportunity, it's not there, especially with Soul taking another. That's going to be Mike, the top player, again, 1 minute, 30 seconds. That's a problem. And now Otterbein's going to be scrambling to try to find another opening. Pushing through this door is going to be risky business. You still got one over by Prison. Palamalu does manage to take Sergeant Anxiety, though. That's going to be, at the very least, just a slight, pressure release, especially with Mr. Epic taking major damage towards the door. They're trying to get some shots and instead gets absolutely lit up. We're down to 1 minute and 13. They're going to have to pivot, and it looks like they're going to try to go for vertical and take office.
yeah, and I mean, that's something that you probably should have done at the beginning of this, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you have to have known that they were going to try to play that vertical, and Walter was able to get that pick on to the bomb plant there. But nice picks coming out from both teams here. Nasty gets on, but Soul with a retake there. That's going to be a triple kill before Neb gets the frag. And now a 1v2 situation. Trying to find that pick there, but he falls through the hatch there. And now 45 seconds left. The bomb is stuck on site. So you're in a little bit of a pickle here. You know that if you fall through this, you're going to be spotted and heard. And it looks like that's what he does. Here we see the repositioning on Mr. Epic here, but he's on such little HP like you mentioned here, so this is not impossible for Neb here.
As long as he can get that jail player, or at least now, I forget, scanning room? I forget the name. We'll just call it scanning room for now. If they can get that player off, or that gives them a good fighting chance. But with how backed up Mr. Epic is right now, Neb could try to go for a plant here, but instead tries to see if they can find one. Motion detector going off. That means now the position and the attention is known. Tries to go for the plant anyway. That's all you can do. And Mr. Epic close on the tail. Gonna have to drop the fuser. And that's gonna give MSU Green a 6-0 going into the first half. Otterbein, this is looking really scary.
I'm with Mr. Epic here also. If I'm getting this bomb planted, I'm sticking it through and through. Exactly. What if he did miss his knife? You know, what if he let him plant the bomb? You know, the opportunities are endless. You know, if you're just gonna give up, I gotta be honest. That's not something that is of moral characteristics of a winner. That's all I'm gonna say. But nonetheless, going
spicy.
into the halfway point here, the bans are coming in. Azami and Ace once again. MSU Green looking to close this out in a 7-0 sweep. Let's see if OU can hold on to this site, or to this map, a little bit stronger here.
What I'm curious of is whether or not Castle's going to get banned again. That's what I really want to see. And no, it's going to be Mira and Deimos, which is weird because unless I've been blind this whole time, I don't think I've seen Mira or Deimos a single time. So I don't know what these two teams expect of each other. Maybe there's some scrim info that we don't have, some background information relating to that choice in scrims, but as far as this match goes, there's no historical precedence for really those choices. I mean, we haven't seen it at all. Obviously, you know, Azami and Ace is kind of a default, but that second round of bans? I mean, yeah, unless these teams just have complete opposite preferences, I do find that a little bit strange.
Yeah, and something that I want to point out is that OU tried to do a little bit of the Capitao Glaz kind of pick there, but the Montaigne was banned. And now that Montaigne's not banned, Michigan State has a very fantastic opportunity to do exactly what it looks like they might be trying to, and that's just going to be a balcony fast hit. Oh, they actually swapped out the glass with the rim there at the last second. But nonetheless, it still looks like it's going to be a fast push coming out between the Montaigne, the Blitz, the Capitao, and the Sens. You're going to be going for a balcony hit for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But the question then becomes, can you hide that information away from Otterbein long enough in order to actually get that hit? And right now, Otterbein isn't looking all that aggressive around this balcony point, which is where they are rapidly heading towards. But also, too, do they go for that CCT and break room clear and give away their intentions? Hard to say. They're kind of banking heavily on only having 3 real gunners. The other 2 being Shields, Blitz, and Monty, like you said. If, you know, even one gunner goes down, that's rough. You know what I mean? It kind of makes that pushing power a little bit weak, especially if you fall into crossfires, which is kind of the killing point for a lot of Shields. I mean, you can't block your front and your back at the same time. That's kind of the main way to counter Shields, is just a little bit of teamwork. But hey, you know how it is. And already we're off to a little bit of a rough start in that fast take. Sergeant Xavier going to go down. Next they're going to be Walter. That's a gun and a shield, both out of the equation. That's going to cripple the capacity to push in. Now there's Grim. All of those choke points, all of those corners are now in play for Otterbein. There's not a reliable way to clear it out. I'd say for Otterbein playing it kind of passively around the initial entry, they sure have got some strong crossfires that they have taken to great effect to slap out 3 of MSU Green's players with minimal pushback as far as damage goes.
Yeah, you know, it really, wow, oh my gosh, nasty shot from his POV there. Like I was saying, a lot of look what Warden was doing. Looked like they might have predicted a little bit of a shield push, to be quite honest. I mean, having that wall open really helped them keep that cross sight between CC and sight held together. So they're able to kind of keep that locked down between the shields, and they didn't have any hard breachers, so it worked out in their favor. But I would definitely predict maybe a hard breach going into the next round so they can just push through and keep that space open. Make sure Polamalu doesn't hold that again. But lots of walkouts here, 1v5 situation, and it's just the Montaigne. What do you do here? You gotta just take your time, play back, give yourself a timeout, know what you need to do for the next round, figure out where they're gonna go, and kind of discuss that. But great round from Otterbein here. It looks like they're really showing what they can do on defense, and that's kind of why that they're 5-2.
Absolutely, that's kind of the showcase there. But I do think using this time for a timeout is really the best move they can make here, because that was particularly rough, right? Otterbein on their attack, they had a lot of problems with trying to establish that initial entry. MSU's situation is arguably even worse for attack. They were able to get into the building, but then immediately got wiped out. I mean, we're talking that initial entry should instantly be your leverage as an attacker, but it just wasn't there, which is atypical for how Border typically plays out. You don't want to really play passive on the outside of the map as defense, which is what Otterbein did, but despite that, it strangely worked, leveraging those crossfires perfectly. So, yeah, you kind of need a little bit of that timeout if you're MSU Green without actually using a timeout, which should be reserved for when things really get ugly, like, 6-4, 6-5, that kind of thing. But the question that MSU has to answer is, what the heck? How did we lose the ground that we were basically given for free? How did we lose that? That's the uncomfortable question that's got to be answered in order to progress further. But I will say, if Otterbein can put out some nasty shots like that consistently, then perhaps they can pull that same 6-0 that MSU did.
10 seconds to insertion.
Heading into round number 8 here, we're seeing some new agents, new operators on the board here. We have Buck, a Vigil, and a Capcan, actually, so it should be pretty interesting to see. The Buck obviously going for the lateral play here, the Blackbeard as well, going for a little bit of shield action. They didn't do fantastic with the shield last round, but you still want to keep the shield, but also have the gun, so a little bit of good medium ground for him there. But the Vigil is going to be very interesting to see. They don't really run IQ. Looks like they are in this instance, so it might be a little bit difficult for them, but going to be interesting to see.
Oh, rest in peace, IQ. The last season, she's actually going to be, having her own little niche until the Thatcher rework comes in.
True.
But getting back into this game so far, it looks like we're going to see MSU Green trying to go for a full topside here. That's a lot of the presence there. They're very well aware of the risk over by East Stairs. Calling it correctly, the firebolt goes out, and that is effectively going to protect the swing, but that shot from below,
doesn't matter.
That's going to shut it down. It don't really make too much of a difference, and that's just smoke another firebolt out of the picture too. But you're finally seeing that initiative from MSU Green, pushing an armory, a little bit of pressure, and Mike is fully out of there, just completely withdraws. Still has that office line of sight, and you've also got one completely cornered off the side. Soul taking massive damage, almost falls to the crossfire, but the cutoff finally comes in. That's going to be from Uova, and now they have that full control of Archives and Army. You just need to worry about office. If they were acute to their senses on the shots being fired, they would know that there's still one above. Calls it correctly. An attempted shot from Mike. It doesn't connect. There's the fallback. Full second floor control. Granted to MSU Green.
Yeah, and still a minute left to go, so they've got a lot of time to work with here. Especially with the Buck, they can just go ahead and pop open hatches like they have been doing and pop open floors. Neb going to be doing a nasty shot on Mr. Epic, though. That's their top fragger. And now it's looking a little bit nicer for Otterbein. Even though they've given up the first floor, they've got the numbers advantage, and they've killed their top fragger. Still a lot of damage on the Blackbeard as well.
Looks like a little bit of a missed track stingers, but they finally got that down. MSU Green going to be opting for that execute soon. But it does look like they're a little bit intel poor at the moment. Only 2 drones available at the moment that are remaining. So with how Otterbein is spread out right now, there's a lot of crossfires, lines of sights, and uncertainty to be accounted for. And with Soul being at half HP, this drop is going to be a bit dicey. One bad misstep, and they're down. Now going for diffuser. Looking to shotgun out, find a corner. Oh, just a little too high, damn. No! Diffuser going to go down, gets the kill, but it doesn't matter. You got players above who are going to pose a threat for this post plant. This is going to be brutal, but Polamalu does take Sergeant Anxiety. That puts it down to one remaining. Uova trying to save second floor, but can't do it. As we'll see Mike be the one to finish the job.
Wait a minute.
And
Chill out,
Uova
guys.
from Beyond the Grave does take another via the track stingers.
Yeah, very, very good round from Otterbein there. It was looking a little bit scary. I cannot believe that Warden, I don't remember who was playing Warden at the time, but Warden was just pixels above where he was supposed to be shooting there. That was super sad. And having the bomb down, super big for MSU Green there. All they needed to do was hold on to it a little bit longer, but Otterbein, they kind of just gave up the site and went straight for lateral play there. And they're able to, I think they 3-stacked top floor actually. So a fantastic job from Otterbein there, getting that second round. And now it's looking a little bit more reasonable, but you gotta keep up this pressure. You gotta keep this level of momentum going for you. You cannot stop now. You're still on the back foot for up until you hit overtime. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see if they can do just that.
I do wonder how they'll continue to hold up. I mean, that was MSU Green's best shot throughout this entire time, and they still just could not pull through. That pushback on second floor was devastating, though. The pace at which that mobility came in from Otterbein really did cause a big cripple to MSU Green. It devastated them badly in terms of that post plant. Because otherwise, by the books, that should have been unwinnable for Otterbein. But because they were able to mount such a fast rotate, and because of the immediate player that went down, it just proved too much to handle. Now, MSU Green, if they want to be cheeky, they've got a clean walk-in point, but the operator picks don't really suggest that kind of play style. I do wonder what their approach is going to be. They did have a bit of a costly top side, but were able to still get it. So I'm willing to bet they're going to still commit and go for it again, because they were able to get it quite quickly. Otterbein did fall back quite fast.
I have a quick question. I haven't played since the Clash rework, but can Brava hack the Clash shield if it's down?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't do anything while it's down other than be a shield. I understand that, but you can pick it back up and then use it as an active ability. So I imagine you can break it with Brava. I don't know.
I don't think it would do anything if I had to guess, because it's not like, you know, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would think that it probably wouldn't do anything if I had to guess. But either way, I do think that having a Clash on the board is going to be interesting. That introduces a major slowdown for MSU Green. Perhaps some hard cover that Otterbein needs, as they tend to walk back very hard. But things are looking scary. 2 players down. Mike, again, that make it or break it is dead. We saw the 2 rounds that Otterbein won, and Mike was alive. Now he's not. And then you got Nasty also taken out. So this just leaves the remaining 3 players in Clash to try to hold on for dear life. I mean, so far they are keeping it slow on Archives, 1:18, but that Blackbeard Soul is going to change that story quick when you got that up and front pressure. Now with 1:10, this is what MSU Green has to fix. This is where it all went wrong. They need to be able to get a drop down, they need to be able to get a plant, and they need to hold on to second floor. They got all the way up to holding second floor, and already we're seeing problems. Neb taking Soul, walking back up East Stairs. That's the pushback that has been breaking MSU Green. Now they got a Thorn on their side. There's no flank watch, no Nomad or Gridlock, nothing like that. It's already going to be a bit tricky on that execute when you have a Thorn on your side like Neb.
And Mr. Epic getting his 10th kill of the game. He's on just about 1 HP, and Polamalu, along with the rest of Otterbein, kind of picking themselves back up here. Now it's just a 3v3 situation, and with 30 seconds left to go, you kind of have to figure something out here. You don't have a lot of great opportunities, and you got to get onto site. You have the lateral play. Mr. Epic getting another kill, and the bomb going to go down for MSU Green here. Polamalu trying to get this pick here. Another kill for Mr. Epic, and now just a 3v1. this might be the final round we see for Border here.
It's very much looking like it. Polomalu has a lot to answer for here, especially around these tight corners. Still has a decent amount of HP. The first target going to be Boss, but completely misses him. Turns the wrong way, and that's it, folks. MSU Green going to be taking round one, or game one, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah, and in amazing fashion. Their defense was phenomenal. Phenomenal. I keep on putting the B in. Oh, we lost our observer cam. That's okay, though. We're just going to go back to us. But yeah, crazy game. And Otterbein, they didn't do terrible on offense, but they didn't do as good. I mean, this sounds stupid, but they didn't do as good as MSU Green did. MSU Green, they didn't do very good on their first round, but in their second round, they managed to just about get everywhere on the map. And then going into the third round, they're getting the bomb down. And so you can see that progression just kind of be on top of itself throughout the entire game. Whereas we didn't necessarily see that from OU. So you can kind of see that scalability that MSU has. And so going into game number 2, we're going to be seeing, I forgot which map we're going to be playing second. I believe it's going to be, I can find it, Bank, which we haven't seen a lot of actually this season. So it's going to be fun to see, especially on stream.
I'm going to have to push back just a little bit, Nuko. You said that Otterbein didn't have much of a development on their attack. I would disagree just a little bit. Towards the end, we did see them actually trying to build that cojones to go for and execute. And I do give them props for that. They really were trying to put out an effort to force some space. Now, did they go about it the right way? Maybe, probably not. They didn't really, I think, full send it the way they needed to. There wasn't enough oomph to it to actually get where it needed to go, but there was still that development, but it was still very minor in comparison to MSU Green's natural progression as they were losing rounds. You know, it was first, like you said, initially taking some space and then immediately getting cut back from it. Then it was, okay, they're taking space, but they're not getting the key positions they need. Then it became, okay, they are getting the key positions, but they're getting bad plants. Then it became, okay, they're getting plants, but their executes aren't very good post-plant. And then it happened. They finally were able to get it down. And when you have such a high round differential to play with, a 6-0, you have all the time in the world where your mindset is changed, right? Again, psychology speaking, because mindset in Rainbow Six Siege is a lot more important than what people give it credit to. It gives the mentality of, instead of focusing on just trying to win every single round, which can possibly create a down spiral, you're just focused on, we just need one. We just need to perfect our craft for one single round, however it has to happen. And I think that has a lot of mental benefit, whereas the other team, they're just basically clinging on for dear life, right? Just taking their strides and just taking whatever grasp of information they can to try to adapt on the fly. So I think there's a lot of mental bandwidth that went into MSU's favor going into that, just because they had such a high margin of error.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll definitely be sure to spread the hate equally between Otterbein and Michigan State. I do think that Otterbein was kind of on the back foot a lot of that second half there. And like you mentioned, the psychology will get to you there. You know, the idea that you can't mess up one round will get to you eventually. So we're going to go ahead and put us to a quick break here. We're going to see map number 2 on Bank. We'll also look at some more statistics for these two teams, but we will catch you guys right back.
can't kill my
Hey, boom, stop talking. We'll knock you out.
33 don't care 3 markets. Go to them. I don't want you to know them upcoming new artists. Go to watch out. What do watch out? Them stink like my money. By the way, I don't want you no knife. I only want you the river.
All right, and we are back, folks. Still here with Nuko. Camera having a little bit of a bad time there, but there we go. We're back at it. We're about to get ready for Game 2. Bank, Nuko, just a little bit of quick thoughts. What are you thinking about what we just witnessed for Game 1 Border? We saw a 6-1 or 6-0 into the first half, and then the second half, Otterbein was putting up a fight, but as we saw, MSU was just creepily adapting and improving and getting uncomfortably close to sight. And then it finally popped, and they were able to pick up that one round.
Yeah, and the amount of like one taps that we saw throughout the series was actually insane. We were seeing some really cool shots throughout the series. So I'm super excited to see what we have in store for us today. But first, we're going to go ahead and look at some more statistics. I've decided to kind of move them around a little bit just to incentivize you guys to stay for longer, obviously. You don't want you guys just staying and then
Keeping
leaving.
It spicy.
But we're going to look at the lobby kill leaders here, and all of them actually point to Otterbein here. We see Mike's with 239, Nasty with 211, and Neb with 203. Holy! 3 players on your team with 200 plus kills in the season is crazy.
Especially when we're all the way into playoff too. I mean, there's still a lot more rounds to go, and that's some pretty gnarly outputs as far as gunning goes. That's, yeah, actually really surprising, to be 100% honest. But do keep in mind, I'm not surprised it's those 3 that showed up. It's more the manner that 3 Otterbein players showed up that's striking. Having 200 distributed across 3 players, you don't see that every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping in touch with Otterbein here, we've got their quote, and it's going to be we are glorious, handsome, tall, kind coach. We love our glorious, handsome, kind, tall coach, Nateflix, from Michael from Otterbein there. And yeah, we do love Nateflix. We love you so much. Going 5-2 is nothing to scoff at, especially in Division 2. So this guy has put in a lot of work, evidently.
I mean, we've seen how a good coach can make or break a team. I mean, shoot. I mean, look at how Fabian was talking to him. I'm sure you've seen the clips going around of that coaching M80. That was crazy work. I mean, hey, sometimes you got to stomp out the complacency, and that can really make a difference. Sometimes we do get too comfortable as players, and having a coach, take a time out to motivate and change and turn that around, it can make all the difference. So clearly, up to this point, Otterbein's coach has really made an impact. I mean, they've been consistently on the up, and it shows.
And as far as MSU Green's quote goes, I was laughing so hard that I couldn't even say OUs, but our nuts are still hanging. I don't know. It's funny. So their nuts are hanging.
My only follow-up.
Yeah.
My only follow-up with that is, how low do they go?
Okay.
I probably should have said that. Sorry for that imagery, folks. I might have scarred the brains for the rest of the night. That's on me, folks. That's on me.
And then lastly, before we move on to game number 2 here, we're going to take a quick look at the statistics between both teams, just to see how their teams are lined up so far. And I have to be quite honest with you, one thing that really points out to me the most is Mr. Epix. I don't know if he's a sub. It's definitely something that I'm going to ask if MSU ends up winning this game and goes to interview, because how do you only have 34 kills and 33 deaths, but you get, 13 in game number 1? How do you get 13 and 5 he went in game number 1? How do you do that?
Yeah. Hard to say. I mean, that's really striking. I mean, yeah, I do kind of wonder how you put someone like that in a sub position. That's kind of a surprising pill to swallow. Usually you're putting up your best 5, and then you have supposedly your sub just going out and absolutely tearing it like that. You know, a lot of teams often don't put that much into their substitutes. They don't invest in them or they can't slot them. You know what I mean? Because slotting one sub to play with the rest of the team and having one of your core players missing out in like practices or scrims, that's really awkward. So to have one player in the sidelines who can be on call and still pump out some crazy numbers like that, yeah, that's not what you really see much at all, to be 100% honest. You don't really see that kind of flexibility and it actually doing them good. A lot of teams, collegiate wise, they don't have a sub at all. And if they do, they're going to be droning for the most part. I mean, that's just how it is. But despite that, Mr. Epic is still able to punch up way above what's expected. And that is striking, as you said.
Yeah, and I mean, having 3 people from Otterbein who can get plus 200 kills in a season in 8 weeks. I mean, and sitting at about a 1.2 to 1.5 KD. That's also just something that you really want to be able to keep on and hold on to. So really excited to see how Otterbein goes and plays up against their own map pick, which we'll be getting into very shortly here. I'm super excited to see this game. This is Otterbein's pick, like I mentioned, and so they've played it quite a few times. It's going to be interesting to see what they've got in store. 44 rounds played, with about a 50% win percentage on that. So, but and on that note, actually, I was very curious to see that MSU Green ended up taking that 7-1, 7-2 border map, but they haven't won a single time. They've only played it once and they lost it. So very interesting to see, in my opinion. But I digress.
Yeah, that was quite a fascinating turnaround. Whatever information they picked up from the one and only time they played it, they put it to very, very good use. So possibly the attack might need a little bit of refinement, because what got them to win that round should have been there from the beginning, and it wasn't quite there. But now that we're finally into the game, we're starting off with bans. Ace and Kaid, both are off the board. Nothing too special here. Second round of bans. That's going to be Hibana and Clash. Clash is a little bit of a weird case. This is a bit of a medium-small kind of map. But, well, with the exception lobby, that area is freaking huge. But generally, there's a lot of hard corners, there's a lot of corridors, and depending on where you're positioned, you're either constantly surrounded with soft walls, or you're kind of untouchable for the most part, without funneling hardcore into a myriad of lines of sight that you can get hit with. So I do find that the most interesting ban of them all. Nuko, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We saw a little bit of Ying, Montaigne, and the Blitz last game, along with Aurora and Grim. Looks like we're kind of swapping the entirety of the OU roster after the drones have fallen out, which doesn't make too much nonsense. It makes sense, right? You know, you have the Goyo, you've got the Warden to worry about, which makes me kind of question the Blitz hit a little bit. But the smoke we've kind of seen all game, honestly. So I'm curious to see what we've got in store. Obviously, this site, like you mentioned, lobby is very, very big. But other than that, you're looking at not a huge amount of area to work with, especially when you're downstairs like they are. And so this will be interesting to see. OU obviously wasn't too satisfied with their attack, or with their lack of time that they had to attack on borders, so they're opting to attack in this second map here. So it's gonna be oh, okay, he was just on his drone. I thought he DC'd for a second.
Yeah, I do want to point out 2 things, though. The Blitz pick makes me nervous. It's decent for immediate territory gain, but if MSU Green plays mostly anchor on site, I'm sorry, but that Blitz pick is kind of useless. You're still going to have a hard time. You're still going to lose a lot of time. I mean, you've got Soul on smoke, Warden on blue. You've also have Goyo. I mean, there's so much stalled there. The last thing you need is an operator who's going to blast through it. You want to dismantle that utility, and you want to put on a pressure that can either destroy that utility via, like, Twitch, or you want to kind of force a concession early. The other thing that worries me is look at the drones of Otterbein. We're talking 1 minute and 43 seconds. There's already 6 drones down. I'm going to be honest, as far as drone work goes, especially for how little hard roaming we're seeing, that is really bad drone economy. That sucks if you're Otterbein, because all of the meat and potatoes is going to be around site. It's not going to be on second floor, heck, barely even on first floor. So they're kind of going in blind into what could be a huge time sink, especially as we approach 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Yeah, you know, the drone economy may be a little bit down, but they've definitely made their way a lot onto site here. They're finally getting themselves situated in places where they can start fighting these two players here. We see Warden, Capitao, and the Blitz kind of going head-to-head here. A lot of interesting opportunities for this Warden. Looks like he's finally going to back off just a little bit here, but he's still going to hold the staircase. And this is just killing time. You want to be able to kill time as much as possible before they have to get onto site and force their way on. And eventually they might make a mistake. But MSU Green still trying to hold on to defense here. And OU, here comes a good opportunity for him here. A lot of damage comes out, and it looks like Soda is going to fall eventually.
Yep, that's going to be one off the books. That's Soda taking it out. And here's the thing, though. Where was the firepower behind that? They could have taken that. Sergeant Anxiety, go for the melee. You got to swing right there. A little bit of a miscoordination, and oh my goodness, there is another one. Polamalu going down. Possibly another bot. Dives too deep. Sergeant Anxiety is going to be taken out. And now there is an opportunity to try to go for revive here. We already have presence in server. The walk up now going for the plant. Someone's got to stop this. The Nitro goes out, but gets shot down. Now the Fuser is up and out. Soul gets taken out too. It's a 2v2, but they do have vertical, and they've got one over server side. That Nitro could have ended it, but we saw Otterbein was just better with taking out that primary threat. Had to be done, and they did it. Uova taking Mike down. Walter taking another. That's going to be both down. One still supposedly alive, but in reality, Polamalu is just dying out. They went too fast, and they never got that revive.
Yeah, very tragic for Otterbein there. They had a really, really strong push there. And like you mentioned, that round was entirely over had that Nitro actually gone off. But a fantastic kill coming out from Otterbein to really shut that down. And that's a good first round if you're Otterbein there. You know, you really can start putting pressure on early like that, making rounds super close. This is going to be a tough game for MSU Green if it's going to be continuous like that.
Yeah, you gotta feel for Otterbein, though. That was a really good attempt, especially with sniping out that Nitro threat. That was perfect. But, I mean, hey, what can you do? You know, unfortunate. Really good effort, really good. Especially with, you know, the presence that they had from vertical. I mean, that was honestly a big golden ticket. They had the line of sight on Diffuser. They could have potentially held it off. Honestly, I would just say the only thing really is I wish they went for that revive. I mean, sure, you had smoke cutting you off. Sure, things were getting hot and fast. But I really do think there should have been at least one moment where you could have gotten that revive. And it never happened. But I do think there is kind of a fair point to that, though. I mean, we did see someone head back towards service to go for that revive. He got immediately sniped out after planting Diffuser. I believe that was nasty, if I'm not mistaken. So there was kind of an effort, but I still have to say not getting that revive really hurt. So now we're going on to the next round, and we're going to see that Ying again. That's going to be Neb pulling out that operator. And it does look like they're going to be going very lobby heavy in this push so far. That's very one-sided, and so far there's really nobody around lobby to watch out for this. They're already gaining massive space. You do have one in elevator, but not even so much as a little look-see to see the sheer volume of operators and players who've already pushed out that direction. You don't usually see a lobby-style push. Mostly it's going to be oriented towards, you know, stock and top square, but this marks a change. So far, not for the better, as Sergeant Anxiety will take Polamalu down off the rip.
Yeah, crazy rotates coming out from this Solus so far. But yeah, like you mentioned, with the Clash being banned there, and you know, them just kind of pushing up lobby. Dokebi's also a new agent that we've seen coming into this, at least this map. So, which is not a bad pick by any stretch. Oh, a nice shot! Way to hold on to the site, or to the staircase there. Nasty and Mike both getting kills, and now just a 4v3. The Valkyrie, pretty much only thing they have to really hold on to. Maybe the Azami, maybe the Goyo canisters, but the Valkyrie on a map as big as this would help them tremendously. So we'll see what they can do. The Dokebi kind of repelling on this stair here, on this wall here, keeping that pressure onto site, and a good opportunity here with the Ying canisters to be able to fly out and get this bomb planted with the get this bomb planted with the Montaigne. Sorry.
They really are holding on to the pressure. You gotta give praise to Otterbein here, but this is kind of where things get a little bit tough. You have Mr. Epic, who's got hard cover in Banana Hall, and until that player is taken care of, it's gonna be easier said than done getting that plant down, because Soda's flank is gonna be fully exposed down to Banana Hall, and you can't stay exposed on the window forever if you were on the rappel. That's kind of one of the cons there. But regardless, Otterbein is testing the angles, looking for an opportunity to try to creep up. Meanwhile, you got Uova looking to try to possibly go for a flank here. They are always in lockstep to try to establish a flank here. That's what's so important. Soul taking down Neb. That's already a big loss. Now you got your rappel player. You got Monty. That's all that's left. An overextension. One goes down, but Mr. Epic picks up the slack, taking down Mike. And now it's going to be Soda, the last one to finish the job. But Soul and Mr. Epic, they're both kind of funneled towards the same direction. The fight, smoke's going down. Soda cannot isolate within the time span of the smoke. It's going to be over, but they're going to walk into a two-way cross on a vault. Poor Soda, you're not walking out of that one alive.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Montaigne there. And he actually did pretty good against that 1v1 against, I believe that was Goyo. But it looked like the rest of his team was kind of just... I think they were fighting in... I'm not too sure where the site is, or where the other side of the site. And they were kind of just soloed out there, and it left them in a 1v3 situation. And after Soda got the kill there with Montaigne, wasn't able to pick up the pieces. Now a 2-0 for MSU Green. But even still, you know, they're getting onto the site pretty single-handedly, and they're actually making this a pretty close game for MSU Green. Now it's just, you know, keeping that progression, like we mentioned in the last game, keeping that scalability up, making sure that you're getting a little bit better every single round before you start taking them over.
Slowly but surely improving. But I would say a little bit of a setback for Otterbein, though. They had a really close plant in the first round basement. This time, they didn't even so much as get diffuser planted. Though, to be fair, second floor, depending on how you set up, can be notoriously difficult. And MSU Green did have a little bit of style in how they went about defending. I really do like how they reinforced Banana Hall. That was kind of an interesting twist. Everyone's got their own little flair in how to play that site, and it makes it particularly difficult. So there's also that mitigator, but either way, it still represents a step back. They weren't able to get diffuser down. However, now we're on a much more contestable site, which is first floor.
And a lot of early presence here. Soda's going to fall from the elevator. Sergeant Anxiety goes ahead and drops down, gets out of there. But Valkyrie stays. Mr. Epic, he's going to keep playing. He has the bomb in his hand, so
they
he
don't
can
have diffuser.
Pretty much sit here for the rest of the half. And now with Uova keeping that lateral presence as well, this is looking a little bit scary. You don't want to lose the bomb this early. This has such it's going to be such a lot harder. Oh my god, it's going to be such harder to be able to get this bomb back now.
Yeah, especially around main stairs. I mean, you're talking, you've got meeting, you've got elevator, you've got, well, the stairs itself, but Nasty just cleared that out. So they do now have the opportunity to grab that diffuser, and they do. Kind of a missed opportunity from MSU Green, I must say. They could have easily stacked that and made it a nightmare, especially if they got someone towards meeting area. Yeah, getting that diffuser was going to be an all-out brawl bloodbath, but it didn't happen. Either way, they were able to stall a bit of time for Otterbein to get that diffuser, which is always a good thing, especially when you're looking at a 1-for-1. The net outcome, minimal territory gained, time lost. So, kind of a split exchange there. Maybe MSU could have capitalized more. Maybe they could have been chasing losses. Hard to say for sure. Either way, what we know, there's not a whole lot of horizontal movement coming in from Otterbein. They're still mostly above, and with 55 seconds, this drop can be notoriously difficult. They do have Nasty on the sense that smoke opportunity still available to them to try to obscure the line of sight.
Yeah, not a lot of time on the clock here. It's still a 4v4 though, so this could get interesting. It's pretty much anyone's game so far. A little bit of damage taken from Otterbein, but nothing to really, be too scared of in this situation. Sergeant Anxiety on a pretty crazy flank here. He actually manages to get past the gridlocks. And this could be a pretty good opportunity, but I don't think that there's enough time, especially with Otterbein trying to get onto the site. The smoke needs to go, though. That is becoming a huge thorn in the spine of Otterbein here. You have to get onto this site just about right now if you have a good chance.
They do finally get out Uova. That's going to be big and allow them to try to go for the plant, but an absolute sweep comes in, wiping them out. That walk-in doesn't do them any good. I will say, though, that whole track stinger walk-up from Solus, absolutely devastating from Sergeant Anxiety. That's kind of the con of Gridlock, right? Is you get a little bit of damage, you make a bit of noise, but if you're too far away, you're not going to hear it. That's why you don't want to push it so far up. You want it somewhere more tangible, like around vending. But that's not what happened. That's quite a big miscalculation on the side of Otterbein. They are going to call for that timeout, though, which I would say is quite necessary at this point. They're already looking to repeat the pass, which is not a good look. They need to find a way to take one round, or what they're going to change in this rotation, maybe what site they're going to focus on for attack, if they want to divert more time, or just try to pick up more rounds all around. But they got to figure something out. They have definitively devolved. They went from a plant, failed post plant, to no plant on a unpredictable site, to no plant again on a more standard site on bank. This is a troubling development for Otterbein, and MSU Green is doing a great job holding their ground, and especially wasting time. That's the big one. MSU has devastated drone economy, time efficiency, and it's all stacking up in their favor, where Otterbein is left worse for wear.
Yeah, that's really not something you want to see if this is your map pick going into the second map after losing the first one, too. You really want to kind of make some more ground going into this here. And now that we're back downstairs, this is the map this is the site that Otterbein had the most success with here. And if they can just, clean up some of their small errors, maybe, whether it's picking up, Polamalu that was last alive back in round number 1. If you can just pick him up, or maybe, clean out the sites just a little bit quicker instead of wasting time, maybe get a better trade on that shield versus warden interaction there, I think that they can definitely take this site.
Yeah, I think it absolutely could happen. They could take this site and win it. This was their best attempt. Now, I really hope that their timeout wasn't focused on this, because I really do think that was highly contestable. And I think the shakeup is kind of obvious. It was from early in the round, right? We saw the blitz, which wasn't all that impactful for what MSU Green had going on. And Blue Stairs was was an absolute wreck for Otterbein, but everything else was really clean. The execute itself, that was really solid. It's just that Blue Stairs and the post execute were a bit choppy. The post execute was kind of tight, hard to really pinpoint an adjustment there, but especially earlier on in the round, that was the weakest moment for them. Blue Stairs was rough, and I think if they can focus on dealing with that problem a lot better, or finding a way to get around it while still having that same pressure and execution, maybe towards a lobby vault drop or something like that, I would say they're going to be in much better hands.
Going for the vertical play, just trying to go top down. Otterbein doing a pretty good job of sweeping this out. Not a lot of players watching any of that, to be quite frankly. You got 2 players, one in Blue Stairs and one in Elevators here, so not too much of a threat in terms of playing high up, but nonetheless, you pretty much always have to check these, right? Like, they've been playing Solus every single round, and there's always an opportunity for them to go for the flank. It's something you just have to watch out for. So, definitely a pretty smart call here, but you gotta remember, time is of the essence here. They've been doing a fantastic job of wasting time, so how do we get that time back?
Right, and the problem is, now that they're discovering the elevator player a bit too late, That is going to present a headache. And you got the Goyo, which is going to hold back for about 20 seconds. That's even more time stalled. That's not available to Otterbein. They got to deal with that elevator player. That is a convincing threat to deal with. But it does actually look like MSU Green has fallen back anyway. So that's actually a benefit to Otterbein, because I would say that was a dangerous position to have to put up with. Now, with 55 seconds left on the clock, they need to make progress. And it doesn't look like they're going to be dealing with elevator or blue stairs, which is a problem because you have 45 seconds left. You still got Goyos available that are going to be used in basement, and diffuser still outside. Hello? And on top of that, all of those smoke canisters are still available. I mean, this is going to be an impossible time burn to navigate through, especially with such little time, especially when you've got one who has to pick up diffuser and haul it back. This is all just looking very rough at the moment.
Yeah, when you have Goyo canisters and the smokes to be able to throw at sites or throw at entrances, it's going to be extremely hard to be able to hold this site, especially with even still Jaegers stopping any of the util that you're trying to throw at the site. It's really sticky. 10 seconds left on the clock here. Smokes are going to be flying out. Nasty gets the first shot. That's going to be the opening pick for Otterbein here. A nice pick coming out, almost getting Sergeant Anxiety, but the bomb isn't going to go down. Sergeant Anxiety gets a pick with on Palomalu, who tries to get the bomb down in time, but that's exactly what MSU was trying to do this entire time, was just stall time and then use your util on the site.
I was warning about this. That smoke is literally what killed the diffuser. You could see the life ticking away from Nomad's eyes as her health just slowly chipped away. Could not get the plant down. That's what I was talking about. You know? It's good that they were able to take control of second floor, first floor immediately, but where was the transition? Where was the follow-up? I mean, they still had that same veracity in the execute, which is great and all, but it was under the worst pretenses possible, which is that you really had all the stall utility in the world going against you. Goyos, smokes. How on earth are you going to expect to be able to get a plant like that? It's not like we're talking a big open space where you can vary where you plant. You might be able to find a pocket. There is no pocket there. That's why if you're going to plant there, you have to deal with blue. I wasn't expecting Otterbein's answer to not deal with it at all. I'm really surprised by that. But, I mean, MSU Green making a perfect call to have their smoke player fall back onto site instead of holding out blue. Because what's the point of holding blue anymore? What that was supposed to do, stall time, Otterbein did it for them by not going there, at least until it's far too late. Why not conserve that energy where the pressure is going to be the highest? And smoke can be a deal breaker at the 30-second mark.
Opting for the shield and Ying play once again. Looking interesting for both teams, honestly. Sergeant Anxiety going ahead and playing, switching from the Solus to the Smoke, now to the Frost. So, but now just going through main entrance here and going to be going into lobby. Otterbein looking to make their way. And it looks like it might be a 5-stack actually through main lobby.
Yeah, it does seem that they're going to be fully committing that way.
Walking over the Valkan. Pretty good info for MSU Green here. They already found the person hiding. You could shoot his feet right there if you wanted to, but there's just not a good opportunity. You could be shot to the wall if you're not careful enough.
The problem that I see here is the fact that Otterbein has already tried this before, and MSU Green is seeing this coming, and now they're fully stacked up. Instead, when they're able to make good space and actually get pressure right outside sight, now they have nothing. They're right on the top of stairs, and you got one sneaking up. That's Sergeant Anxiety taking Palomalu. You gotta do something different. You can't hold the top of the stairs. It's not gonna work like it did before. That element of surprise is not there. They finally do manage to get on the top of Spiral, but another one and another. That's 2 more down. You over and Sergeant Anxiety taking 2 players. That's gonna be Palomalu also out of the picture. And now you've got your Monties under intense Princess. Mike, you gotta help your teammate out. The knife, it's not happening. But she dropped the hatch. Now with a minute remaining, the last player, and already they still have eyes. Tries to go for a nice shot, doesn't connect. Folks, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's a shame on Otterbein. I hate to say it.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the element of surprise is effectively gone. And when you're looking at the top of staircase for 15, 30 seconds, they're going to be able to pick up the pieces, especially when they had a Valcam in main lobby that they're walking over. They're going to be able to figure out and just kind of collapse onto you there, and that's exactly what happened, right? So something you really got to think about. That's not the round that you wanted to produce, especially, you know, you've already used your timeout, you know, you've thought about what you need to do, and then you produce a round like that. This isn't Div 2 anymore, guys. We got to step it up. This is playoffs. It's do or die.
New camera feed up and running.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like the opportunities for Otterbein are really running out, and it's alarming because, again, Bank is another map where you're expected to take at least 1 to 2 rounds. Again, we're in that, oh crap, is this a repeat territory? We're actually there. It's not, you know, speculation anymore. The threat's already there. I really do hope for Otterbein's sake they're able to pick up at least 1 round, because if they can't do that, I really don't know what they're going to do here. But again, everything just lines up perfectly. You know, they try to go for a plant in basement. The plant just doesn't work out. Then they can't, or walk up spiral, and they can't get onto site. Is this going to be the same thing for first floor? Something's got to change. Something's got to give. And it does look like MSU Green is changing things up yet again. But you kind of have to on second floor, because once you know the pattern can pick it apart, I mean, that setup becomes basically worthless. So, I mean, Otterbein is probably going to have to deal with a shakeup. But if MSU Green kept it the same, maybe there's a little bit of a fighting chance. But so far, it does look like their utility investment, their positions, or I'm sorry, for first floor, it is a bit different. So there is that, you know, kind of reset of you got to try to go at it again.
A lot of tick damage. Mr. Epic, he's going to actually be knocked, but he does stay alive. Maybe trying to go down the red stairs here and just keep himself alive for one of his teammates to pick him up. But a lot of pressure coming out from Otterbein so far here. Mike picking up Mr. Epic there as we see some presence from Walter, trying to get those picks, trying to find something. That is one of the weirdest reticles I think I've seen anyone use, by the way. I cannot believe people use that one. That's just a personal preference, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely not a reticle I would ever use in a million years. But hey, everyone's got their own licks, their tastes, their flavors when it comes to sights. And that's why you get the option to pretty much pick whatever you want when it comes to one times. One of the choices, and I'm very glad that Ubisoft made when it comes to changes. Either way, now getting back to the matter at hand. We're at 1:15 seconds. Still, Otterbein pretty much crawling over on second floor, trying to get some vertical. They do have that edge that they've taken out Mr. Epic. That's one player off the board. That Nitro was not quite arced correctly. So they're not going to be able to get the use out of that. But one good development, they are getting that Goyo out early. It's not too late, so they do have an option how they want to engage instead of just blindly sprinting through. However, there still needs to be more presence on the first floor. Right now you got 3 stacked on vertical. A little bit of overkill, sure, but you also have Sergeant Anxiety still sitting basement undetected. That's the danger. Where she walks up and when is really going to make how this round turns out. They have no intel. They got to go.
Yeah, making their way, kind of doing the same play as last time here. Hopefully the Nitro doesn't go off and take him out. Going to be getting this bomb down. I think Souls has done it. Nice job from Souls. The bomb has gone down. It's still 5 players alive from Otterbein. Only 38 seconds now. MSU Green has to make a move here.
They actually know where Sergeant Anxiety is. That's so big. That flank opportunity is dead. And they also have their vertical still held up. This is problematic. Neb goes down, but it's a 2v4. 22 seconds on the clock. Can't find those vertical players. And there it is. Otterbein taking their first and only round for this first half. But it doesn't matter because he is the deal, folks. That's buffer space. And Otterbein has just given themselves a second chance at life. Even if it's only 1 round, that's still big. That means that they have a chance of reset. It's not just a 1 and out. That's a big tension relief.
Yeah, a fantastic round coming from Otterbein. That is not the same Otterbein that we've seen in the previous 5 rounds. They were doing a fantastic time. And they just did a good job of, I mean, firstly, like you mentioned, they cleared out Solus, which was huge because Solus was kind of lurking the entire time. They hadn't seen him, and then they saw him right when he was about to walk out. A great Grim canister to shoot there, and they were just be able to pick up. I cannot believe they got the bomb down. That's another thing that I wanted to mention. I can't believe that they actually got the bomb down. I for sure thought that Mute was going to throw the nitro. I thought he picked it up, but maybe not. But a great plant.
Yeah, that was a very solid plant. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that MSU Green had such a weak attack, a weak pushback on that plant. I mean, to be fair, hindsight is 2020, but I really was expecting a little bit more to fight that plant instead of just a shotgun against the back of his shield. Like, yeah, obviously that plant's going to go through. What else you got against it?
10 seconds to insert.
MSU Green really didn't have anything for it, which kind of caught me off guard. But to be fair, I do see how they could expect it to be towards the corner of sight. But in any case, moving on into this round, I love the Scoopos pick. This is like one of the perfect sites to run Scoopos.
Drone is ready to go.
It's so good. You are able to immediately push pressure on the 3rd floor. If that robot doesn't get spotted, now you have a major danger that can walk down onto 1st floor. Assuming that MSU Green even knows about it, there's a lot of respect you have to pay to Scoopos. Otherwise, you can get absolutely wiped by some of the most unpredictable flanks you can imagine.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think they intend to find out about it, to be quite honest. I think they're just going to go straight into tunnel in sewers here. They're opting
right.
for, similar to what we saw on the border pick when they first started offense, the Glaz, the Montaigne, the Capital, they're just pushing onto site, and here it is, 2 minutes left to go. A little bit of damage from the Grim the canisters there, but it doesn't matter. Yuva gets a pick, and now the refrag comes out from Nasty. They know that there's a threat here. 2 minutes left to go, and the bomb is going down.
Yeah, talk about running it clean and
I
fast,
lied.
but that defuse attempt's gonna get shut down. That's thanks to Mike, the savior of that attempted execute. Mr. Epic taking some heavy damage. They still look intent on trying to get a plant there, but with Walter getting shut down, Mr. Epic, low HP, you got no choice but to send it forward, but Soda's gonna pop off and shut it down from bottom square. I know we love to see those dives, but I'm telling you, when you got that much utility slowing you down and holding you back, Goyo smokes, you know, barbed wire, there's just too much. Especially once Scopos had enough time to come back and swap over. Dead. There's not a whole lot more life into that little ambush push. Pretty much giving a freebie to Otterbein.
Attackers need to locate.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe not the site that you wanted to have the freebie on. You might have to work a little bit harder for this one in particular. But definitely a fantastic round that keeps the morals high for OU. And it makes MSU Green a little bit scared, right? Like, this is Otterbein's map pick. What other strategies and, you know, niche plays can they come up with on their own map pick here? So it's going to be interesting to see. We see the Clash and Echo coming out. Going to be something that they're going to be focused on is stalling time for the entire game here. You have the Fenrir as well with the Aruni. That's going to be a lot of just keeping them out of spaces. And again, stalling time. Exactly what you're looking for here.
I do like the vision Otterbein's going for, but I'm not in favor of this. Here's why. You've got Soul on Thermite, you've got Nook walking around, you've got Sense and Osa. You know what this creates the perfect recipe for, especially if the Nitro player goes down? A walk-in to Shelf's admin, you plant, and suddenly that Echo, that Clash, all of that's useless. What is there to physically stop it? Nothing. So they're going to need to have an ironclad way to account for this top square. And MSU Green already sees the greater pastures and is looking to pursue it. They're going to need to find a way to stop that walk-in, because if they can't get that, cut that off, I mean, Otterbein is looking bold, but not really of much substance. And we're already seeing it now. Get Soul looking to get that wall open. That's step one to the crisis that could unfold if Otterbein drops the ball here.
Yeah, and with this window player here, Mr. Epic, definitely going to be interesting. He's going to be able to hold the site from... There's going to be so many opportunities if they get this bomb down after the wall drops, so it will be a little bit scary to see if they get this bomb down here, since Util and Osa are going to be next on the board here, and look, just like that, they've got a lot of opportunity to get this bomb down.
Oh no, Nitro, the Echo Cam. Oh, they might try to go for another plant attempt, and there it is. And now there's no Echo Cam. This is exactly what I was worried about.
There is.
Oh, never mind. There is another one. Okay, that's huge. That's going to allow them to hold it off. MSU Green now dropping off. That's big. You've also got Soda now keeping a close eye on top square. MSU, you got to stop with these cheeky plays. I like the boldness, but I'm sorry, it only works so many times. I mean, Otterbein was very much ready for it and was expecting it. I did see a potential weakness. However, they were able to manage this officially, especially the fact of that one Nitro allowed for a cataclysmic pushback, taking down that OSHA shield, getting that pushback. That was all that they needed. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is kind of getting a bit too tongue-in-cheek here. Otterbein, I like their setups. I do worry if that was a more solid push rather than kind of a one front like we had just witnessed there. But MSU Green, they gotta play more on fundamentals than trying to go for these rushes. It can only get you so far. So far, it's been nowhere.
Great flank coming out from you over there. That kind of saved a little bit of the team, but Soda kind of stepping back here and saying, yeah, you can't do it to us twice. We're gonna stop you here. And now a three-piece coming out from Soda to clutch out this round here for Otterbein, and they stay alive once again. Doing a fantastic job. But yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, I think that if they didn't have the Echo that round, they would have had the bomb down, and it would have been a lot scarier, as well as the Nitro. But that was a little bit scary. Like, they had a really close opportunity. If they had the bomb down, it was barbecue chicken from there. They had that round, in my opinion. They had so many opportunities, so many areas to look at. But this being able to stop the bomb with the first and second Echo drone and the Nitro cell, huge.
Yeah, if I were MSU, I would start to get a little bit nervous. Because we're now getting to the point where Otterbein only has to pick up 2 more rounds, and they're pretty much neck and neck with the opportunity to just win it outright, no overtime required. MSU Green, they're going to have to actually play fundamentals here. They have to. I mean, they've tried this. Oh, no way. No way. Do you see what I'm seeing, Nuko? With Sarge Anxiety on Amaru? Are you thinking what I'm thinking is going to happen?
Wait, how many cheeky plays do you have up your sleeve? I mean, you tried the tunnel execute. You now tried this cheeky wall plant. I honestly don't think this is going to work. I think Otterbein is a wall of defense so far. They're really stopping all of these cheeky plays that MSU Green has. I don't think this one's going to work either.
So, for those who don't know, with that Amaru pick, basically what MSU Green is likely going to do is they're going to go basement, and they're going to have Amaru possibly hop up through the basement hatch. However, she's already stationed second floor, so assuming she lives to see that day, maybe it's a possibility, maybe it's not. Could just be for a simple fast access, which right now they have already in admin second floor, and that's immediate pressure as you have 2 players above. But right now, she has no support at the moment. Does manage to get a clean wall bang onto Neb. Walter TK Soul, hello?
What's going on?
What just happened there? I mean, hey, you know, nice. Oh, you know, might have been walking into the front.
Uova
Very
getting a pick on
unfortunate.
Mike, making this a little bit more even for him though. Sergeant Anxiety has a lot of damage on him, but he's 11-5. This guy can get his and maybe get a second, so I have no doubt that he'll be strong here. And still trying to hold this top floor. We see Nasty trying to just keep some of this space with him here. He gets drowned out though. This could be a little bit of an issue. He has 2 players he opts to drop.
Yeah, honestly, that move up above was actually really good for MSU Green. They were able to hold the ground. I would still say that's risky to have one player kind of holding out alone like that. That is kind of a dangerous angle, but they were able to navigate it successfully. putting it to a 4v3. They've got solid second floor control. This is looking a lot more solid. There's not any like rundown tactics or rushes. It really does look like they're not trying to force it. They're actually trying to play this round out, and they're looking good for it. On top of that, you got Uova on her Twitch drone right now that's popping those Goyle canisters. That's big. Now you have a clear entryway. This is the fundamentals that we were looking for MSU Green, and look at that. The second they do it, they are now up one player. And with 45 seconds to go, they still have time to spare to make this execute. Now,
There it is.
There
it is.
Oh, they're still doing it.
You
I was
knew it
thinking
was
they
coming
weren't
in.
going to go for this, but I was wrong. Let's see if this actually pays off, though. I am so curious.
Walter
Walter
drops.
goes down. That's going to be nasty. And there it is. There's finally that repel. Let's see if that angle provides any power. Drops off immediately. Uova goes down. Come on, you were looking good on fundamentals. Why'd you have to go for that? That really wasn't the fault, though. They fall apart on the horizontal as Nasty picks up another on the double kill. Soda takes one, takes two. That's Uova and Sergeant Anxiety down, and it's going to be a wipeout on the first floor. Otterbein securing a full successful rotation. Much the same as MSU to their own disdain as the timeout is now initiated.
Oh my, this is the first time that we've seen from MSU Green too. They were looking, I mean, they didn't need one necessarily in the first round, but when you have something like this, you go 5-1 in the first half, you think you're fine, and then you lose 3 in a row. That's something you really have to pay attention to. I mean, Nasty now 11-4. He's on the runner-up to fight up against Sergeant Anxiety. We haven't seen a lot of him since. I mean, he played a root Amaru there and didn't really get a lot of value out of it, especially since they were all playing in Kitchen at the time. And I loved the crazy pick coming out from, I believe it was Nasty. Yeah, it was Nasty playing the Azami pick there. He did a fantastic job just playing just about everywhere, playing upstairs on top of site, and then playing in the backside of site as well. Doing a fantastic job just keeping that pressure there throughout the entire round.
Yeah, very consistent pace of pressure on Otterbein to really hold off MSU Green, especially with that first floor hold. That was honestly the greatest example of consistency. They didn't fold at that corner. They were able to really fight it off. But I do have to wonder if MSU Green can pull this off. I do think they could pull off 2 rounds. They really do. But I'm going to be honest, if they keep trying to run these old school forces or kind of one-time pony tricks like that Amaru Hatch trick, I don't think that they will be able to succeed. I really don't think, because it all goes well until they try to run a gimmick and then it goes badly. I do think MSU Green has good fundamentals that could win them some much-needed rounds to close out this second game too. But if they don't stick to fundamentals and try to look for some kind of cheeky opening, I really do think they could actually throw this away. And I do mean throw it away, because they do have good fundamentals and they can attack well if they just play it smart, play it common sense. You don't got to do anything complex or wild. You know, take it down to the common denominator.
Yeah, and that's kind of my next point of conversation, right? Is like they took the time out. They know that they're going down to basement again. What do you think that they're kind of conversing about? Because they obviously kind of maybe quit some of that, like you mentioned, one-trick pony type of plays. But now they're going for a little bit more of a strategic approach here. We see 4 players in garage here, with Deimos kind of roaming around up top a little bit more here. And we're seeing a lot of denial, obviously, coming out from a garage defense, right? You're going to see a lot of that here. And with the Scopos pick once again, going to be interesting to see how that plays, because that's kind of the I don't want to say win con necessarily, but that definitely has the potential to be that.
Oh, absolutely. That variable and uncertainty, it really could be if they don't play this correctly. I do like they're getting that death mark. Hunting players down. They take down Mike. That's big. The biggest threat now out of the way. 2 for 2. Paul Malu also going down, but you lose Mr. Epic and you lose Soul as well. And they have Vault secured. That's massive. You now have direct basement pressure from within. Plant going down. Despite it being a very fast take, It's very clean from MSU Green. They gain massive space, and now it's danger close. Basement no longer in their control.
Whoa.
1-for-1. Sergeant Anxiety and Nasty going down. 32 seconds on the clock. They got the ping on the one close to the corner. Could go for a wall bank here, but we'll try to swing that rotate. Catch them on the rotate. Soda on an absolute tear. Now going to be up to take in Uova. A 1v1. The smoke obscures. Going for the defuse. Doesn't actually stick. 13 seconds. You gotta go. It's off the fuse. That's huge. Time lost. Now Uova close to diffuser. Ready to fight it off. Soda has to stick. Goes for the kill, but can't get it as Uova will maintain that post plant. Now it's match point. MSU Green back on the table.
Yeah, in hindsight, I mean, we're watching from a from the observer's perspective, but I honestly think that he had that if he just stuck it. I'm gonna be so real. I think we would be seeing 5-5 if he just held down his defuse button.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't know. It's really hard to call. It's really hard to call. That was so freaking close. I don't really know, in all honesty. I think it's kind of a little predictive to say for sure. Maybe there would have been a little bit of hesitancy from Uova, and that could have resulted in diffuser going down. Maybe Uova would have continued to dive deeper, maybe pre-fire, and that would have done the job right there. It's impossible to say for sure. There's a lot of different variables. Maybe that fight could happen, maybe not. Really debatable there. But either way, that was still a really good try coming in from Soda. I mean, getting really close. But the fact of the matter remains, now they're in dangerous territory. MSU Green has found a successful force plant and has found a genuine opening to exploit. I still would say they could take their time, considering they had 1:30 remaining to plant. But if you don't need the time, hey, you don't need the time.
Yeah, one thing is for certain that after the timeout, MSU definitely had a fantastic time getting themselves onto site. They did a great job clearing out that backup bank into backup bank, and then getting that bomb down. They did a much better job as opposed to some of the other rounds here. And now that we're on second floor with the clash and the echo, I mean, we've seen this last time they were on second floor, so it'll be interesting to see how MSU Green adapts once they find out how to go about this here.
Honestly, man, as long as they don't go up spiral again, I'll be happy. That's all I want. Just please don't go up spiral. Or they're going up spiral, aren't they? Well, only one. I can't really complain about that. They are able to get that elevator shield out of the way immediately. They don't have a Capital, so they're not going to really be able to burn Palomalu out. But if they can isolate that elevator player, then that means that there's really nothing to worry about for plant other than that one nitro. They will be able to go for that plant. They will have that position available to them just as long as they don't get nitroed at a bad time. But it does look like they're really split here. I'm not sure what the move's going to be, and it looks like they're going to be going in. Sergeant Anxiety actually going to repel in. Again, another fast take. The sense is going out to Aurora, blocking off the lines of sight. This is very, very aggressive. Now going for the corner plant into admin. Does this actually go off? If it does, it could be it. Soul takes one, and Diffuser actually goes down. This is catastrophic. Oh, never mind. Actually got off Diffuser too early. Come on, you can't rage bait me like that. What the heck?
It was actually a beautiful save from the...
attempted stop.
Oh,
they
no.
shoot out the echo. That's huge. Diffuser actually goes down. This is nasty for Otterbein. You've got players on the rappel going up top square. Now looking to put pressure onto Vending as they try to walk this up. This is not looking good for Otterbein, especially when one of your gunners is gonna be a Clash who's being actively held back. Soda is gonna have to get aggressive here. Soul goes down. Sergeant Anxiety, that's another. Now it's a 2v4. 17 seconds on the clock, but someone has to get there on the diffuser. And now the attempt begins. And so far gets off diffuser. 2v3 as a grenade sticks. That's gonna take one. 8 seconds left.
Oh,
Someone has
no
to get on the
way.
diffuser. Who's gonna do it? There's the run out. But who's there to defuse? It's no one because Neb is taken down.
Oh, that is so tragic for Otterbein there. They did such a fantastic job holding that. Oh, we lost our observer camera again. Oh, we're coming back? Maybe. It's on a laptop, guys, so bear with us as we work on that. There we at least see the scorecard. 11 kills coming out from Nuova, and 12 and 6 coming out from Nasty there. What a fantastic game. 0-2 coming out from MSU Green. They did a fantastic job. I mean, that could have gone either way twice in a row, to be quite honest with you. Those were very close rounds.
100%. I will say, though, I really did like how Otterbein was pulling through. And honestly, for a while, they were honestly and fairly punishing MSU Green hard for really not doing their homework, not, getting site ready for execute. They were getting punished hard for it. They honestly were nailing that down perfectly. But then once MSU Green finally found a way to get a plant down, it just all cascaded down from there. Otterbein just had to hold on to that gatekeep, and they just couldn't do it. So, I mean, honestly, a really good effort from Otterbein. I will say, though, if you were looking at these stats of these teams from a surface level, this looks like an absolute upset. On the surface, it does look like it. I mean, all the stats that we discussed on the surface, it looked like Otterbein had it. But when you look at the finer details of who MSU Green had been going up against, suddenly the story isn't so clear. And we can see that with MSU Green coming out on top.
Yeah, and I think that might just be the difference between Division 1 and Division 2, Otterbein evidently was doing a fantastic job in Division 2, going 5-2, having some crazy stats, 200 plus kills for 3 people on their roster, but unfortunately not able to bring this game into their clutches here. We're going to be right back. We're going to toss this over to a quick break before we go to an interview where we'll see some Sergeant Anxiety and kind of dig into his brain a little bit and see, kind of what the behind the scenes looks like for MSU Green. So be right back and stick with us here.
All right, and we are back, folks, and we are here with Sergeant Anxiety from MSU. Firstly, want to say congratulations on the win. There were some moments that it was looking a little bit worrying, at least for map 2, but you were able to pull it off, so congrats on that 2-0. Sticking to that 2-0-0-2 rule of thumb, I see.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we don't take very many 3-mappers, so or we don't go to many in general, so we got it done.
No, I do see that. So let me ask you this first question, though, because hot on my mind, map 2, bank. We saw a lot of plays on your attack where you were trying to go for, these 1 minute and 30-second plants. And initially, it wasn't going that well. It was, especially like we saw in basement, very bold push, fell apart rapidly. So what was the decision making to go for those type of plays instead of, playing the round out to its fullest time and trying to, maybe pop more utility, maybe get better setup conditions? What was kind of the mindset going into that, trying to make that type of play?
Yeah, so I mean, one thing we noticed is they played like really extension heavy and had a lot of like free roams.
That is true.
But they weren't really playing like any verticality on most of the, or at least for second floor. So like with the second floor one, when we were going really quick the first time, we were like, okay, these guys are not contesting anything square. And it was just like the hair of not being able to shoot an echo cam was the only reason the top floor one didn't work out the first time. But they play so extended, and they really were not great at reacting to pressure from what we had seen. We botted them a little bit. They're a slow team on attack especially and on defense. So we knew that if we kind of played into that and did a few like brain dead plays, like just run out, sprint at them, like some stupid things, that it worked really well. And we just, the first few rounds, it was a bad job by me of identifying gaps. It was just bad gaps. But the last 2 rounds, I thought we did really good. Identified the gaps. I was like, they have one person on site. Garage is probably a pretty free spot since they're reinforcing every hatch except like CC, which was interesting.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because that's what it really was looking like when you were struggling there. It seemed like you weren't finding that opening, and what shifted is, like you said, you finally got that opening you were looking for and were able to run it down hard. So honestly, a good call there. That was kind of what I was wanting to get a little bit more clarity on. Nuko?
Yeah, once again, congratulations. You did fantastic. You and your team. And I don't remember who it was exactly. Give me 1 second here. Mr. Epic really popping off in the first game there. And that's not something that we kind of see, at least on the stats page. I mean, he had 34 kills and 33 deaths on his whole scorecard. Yeah, 34 and 33. So is he a sub, or I guess kind of tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I guess I'll give it a little bit of lore. So we came into the season with a 5-man roster. Epic wasn't on it. He had like time constraints prior. One of our players actually got banned by Ubi. We had him PC checked by Reapin, fully cleared of cheating, but Ubisoft wouldn't budge, so there was no way for us to get him back into our roster. So we've been playing with a floating sub for the entirety of the semester. We have not had the same 5 pretty much any week. We have a different 5 for almost every scrim, so it's been hard to get like a consistent grouping together. But Epic was on the team last year. Me and him played on our team together this offseason, and he's a great player. He's a fragger. So we were more than happy when he said that he'd be able to step in for playoffs. In the last couple of weeks, he's gotten a little more active, got more, I guess, initiated with our strats. And he played his role to perfection. He was getting the frags, getting the cuts. Super happy that he was able to step in. I mean, he's just been amazing for our team every time he steps in.
Yeah, that's definitely someone that you want to be able to have in your back pocket. I think that's very huge for you and your team. One other question I really had for you was kind of like pre-game, even before the game started. Yesterday, when you guys were doing map bans, you were the first people to ban, MSU Green was, and you guys went ahead and banned your most played map, which was Chalet. And so I guess, like, did you guys do a little bit of reconnaissance and notice that was also their most played map? Or I guess, how did you guys go about doing your ban phases? Because we don't normally see Bank Even though that was their pick, you kind of like led into that with we see Chalet and then Labs and then Clubhouse and then Consulate. So I guess kind of give me some of that details as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we knew they played Chalet. A lot of teams in even in I guess Div 1, like Div 2, Div 3, they have like a small collection of map pools they really like to play, and they are amazing at Chalet from everything I've seen. We were kind of scrim partners with them, like warm-up scrim partners every single week. We played them on Chalet twice, and they destroyed us every time. So we were not letting them take us to Chalet, even though we worked hard on our Chalet ever since the last time we played them on it. We knew we didn't want to take them to Chalet. So we wanted to force them into things that they weren't comfortable on. They're a slow, methodical team. So Border kind of jumped out. That's a really run and gun heavy map. We thought we could make them uncomfortable, and I don't know why in God's green earth they decided to start on attack. I don't even know if they've attacked Border before. That was horrendous. And no disrespect to them. I love Mike. I love Otterbein. But I don't know why they'd pick attack. But yeah, we just knew that they were a slump team. They have their maps they're good at, so we wanted to take those out. We wanted to take that out for sure. Force them into maybe an uncomfortable situation and see if they had anything in the tank, and it looked like they didn't. So.
Yeah, you guys obviously did very good on Border. Like, from what our papers show, you've only played Border one time and you lost every single round. So you guys obviously have played some Border off screen and definitely done your homework on that. You guys did a fantastic job. Pearson, you got any further questions for us?
Actually, I do kind of have one more. So when looking superficially at your stat record, which was more losses than wins by a differential of 3, it looks rough on the surface, but it turns out that the teams that you have been playing have been like top dogs. CC, Purdue Gold, Akron Gold, like the heaviest of the heavy hitters. So my question to you is, do you think that experience of playing against some of what's consistently considered the top teams in the entire scene maybe had a fresh perspective for you and how you went about this matchup in Otterbein, possibly kind of how to, deal with the absolute worst pressure that you could possibly encounter?
Yeah. So I think one thing that playing those really good teams does is it exposes your gaps. Obviously, every team we placed in Div 1 gave us something that we could work on. We VOD every match we play. And I think one thing that was different is we VODed Otterbein this time. We hadn't VODed any other teams. We were just trying to play our own game. When you play against teams like Akron, like both Akron, CC, Purdue, they get your gaps. Sorry, they're playing in the background. But like Purdue showed us that we can't play against a rush very well, so we have been just working on just counter rushing. We know how to counter the slowness. So I think that playing those upper echelon teams gets you more of a broad variety of teams, teaches you your gaps. And all those teams are great, and I think they did a great job of preparing us for this at a team that we don't think are at the echelon of Division 1, but definitely aren't anybody to sleep on. If Mike gets one good round and he gets hot, it's gonna be hard. So yeah, just making sure that we were prepared for everything they could bring, doing a little bit of odd, and just playing our game as well as against theirs, and not trying to just do too much of assigning ourselves like hero plays, which is something I struggled with. I was just assigning myself to a hero play when shit wasn't going well. And it wasn't working, and I learned that. So these upper echelon teams, they give you a lot to work on for.
Yeah, I would think so. And you put it to good use, clearly.
Thank you.
Last thing I think we both have for you is just any people you want to shout out, some kudos to, as you guys have come a long way throughout the season. We're on playoffs now, so you guys have made it to round 3. Congratulations. And just anyone you want to shout out as we kind of wrap up this session here for us.
Yeah, shout out to the boys. They've been working really hard. Everybody's putting the time in. Big shout out to Alex and Connor, Overlord, and CJ. They've been super helpful in getting us the lounge space where we play every week. That's where we're at right now. So huge props to them. Yeah, and thanks for everybody for watching. Thanks for you guys for casting, and I love you, Mom.
We love Mom. Once again, congratulations to you guys. Good luck to MSU White as well, as it looks like they're playing maybe in the background right now. And yeah, you guys are heading into round number 3, which means it's top 16, I believe. Top 16? Top 8? I don't remember. But you guys are getting pretty close to being in the going up against the big dogs once again, like we've talked about. So good luck to you guys as we head into the further seasons. And once again, thank you guys for watching. We'll be back. We're actually not going to be back next week. There's going to be a week gap as we head into Thanksgiving here, so we might see some reschedules come out, but there will be a stream coming in 2 weeks from now on Thursday. So make sure you guys tune into that, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Take it easy.